hope you heard Brian, because I didn't, but he looked fantastic. Coming up right now, a new online test may help parents predict if their baby will actually be obese. It's a simple formula that takes into account a child's birth weight, the parent's body mass index, BMI, household size, mom's professional status, and whether or not mom smoked during pregnancy. So, is this actually right? Joining us now is the Fox News medical director, Dr. Mark Siegel, part of our A-team here. Great to see you again, Dr. Siegel.
Good to see you, Gretchen.
Okay, I find this study fascinating on many, many fronts. Do you like it?
Well, I like your opening point that it's too good to be true. And I also am always suspicious of these calculators. You know, plug in this and you have future success. I think it's too simplistic, you know, but what I do like about it is I like the idea of parents looking when a child is born and saying, what risks does this child have? Because that's the period of time, Gretchen, when parents are most susceptible to making changes. If you're pregnant and you have a newborn coming and they say to you, some professional says to you, look, there's a high risk that they're going to gain a lot of weight. This study shows about an 80% predictive value, meaning that 80% of the time a baby is going to be overweight if you predict it. The biggest predictor here is the weight of the parents. So in other words, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out, but maybe you should be reminded. If you yourself are overweight, if your husband is overweight, maybe your child will have the same risk.
So people would get that, and you're right. You don't have to be a heart surgeon or a rocket scientist to figure that one out. But household size? I mean, so you go and you see your OBGYN. How do you change that before you're going to have your baby? And then mother's professional status? So what? Mom's going to change her career and suddenly your kid's going to be skinny?
No, I mean, that's the one that has the weakest science to it. But I think the suggestion there is if you're in a lower socioeconomic group and you can't afford the gourmet meals or the salads, maybe you're going to go out and eat at a fast food restaurant and you're going to end up feeding your baby inappropriately. But here's the point, though. I think that's kind of silly, but I think education isn't silly. I think the idea of getting a lifestyle going for your infant that you can then capitalize on later on. Gretchen, I take my children with me to the gym. Now, I'm going to lose my gym membership for saying this, but I have my 7-year-old on the elliptical. And I think that's what I think a parent should be saying. Are my kids exercising? What am I feeding them? Is there soda in the icebox? You know, once you start something, it's easier to keep them skinny.
I think that's my point with this study, is that you're the doctor, so genetics obviously play a role in so many different things. But doesn't personal responsibility and the way in which you raise your children have a huge part of it? I mean, if you're feeding them Doritos for breakfast, they're probably going to get fat. I
agree with you. I think also, though, I think the study actually agrees with that. You know, this study started when they looked at 4,000 Finnish kids in Finland. They predicted that it was genetics. They said it's going to be genetics, but the study ended up showing over 16 years that it wasn't genetics. It's not that you're predisposed. It's exactly whether you feed kids Doritos or not. But the problem is once you start feeding them Doritos, you can't stop it. Okay. Once you start not exercising, you can't just say at the age of 25, and I have this in my office every day of the week, where I'm saying to some 50-year-old who hasn't exercised in 25 years, get on that treadmill, and they look at me with a glazed stare. Right. Better to start when they're children.
By the way, my favorite flavor of Doritos, Cool Ranch, and I think that you're still going to be able to have your gym membership.
I hope so. I hope they're not watching me.
All right, Dr. Siegel, great to see you. Thank you. So if you want to take this test online, simply go to foxandfriends.com, our website, after the show, of course. Take the test. Find out. It's very important.